Charles Leclerc, with his Ferrari, is unfortunately no longer in contention for the 2024 Formula One Drivers' Championship. The goal was never really within reach, as the Monegasque, like his Maranello teammate Carlos Sainz, struggled with the SF24 single-seater during the middle part of the season. This SF24 car had lost its proper working point due to the floor mounted on the car during the Spanish Grand Prix at the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona. From then on, for about 3 months, the Ferrari car was no longer competitive, and despite the fact that Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz did everything possible to optimize the results in each race weekend, the car's technical value was not sufficient to challenge the Super McLaren MCL38 or even Red Bull, who was clearly on a downward slope. A disheartening situation, because without this problem, Ferrari could have fought for both Formula One world titles this year. Returning to form only in September completely destroyed the Italian team's ambitions. Fortunately, McLaren and Red Bull did not perform at their best. The Woking team always showed up on track with a competitive car, this is beyond doubt. However, it often made mistakes that prevented it from maximizing performance and consequently, results. Meanwhile, things were even worse for the Milton Keynes team. Only Max Verstappen kept the RB20 afloat, which suffered several technical problems and was unable to fight for victory. The Dutchman won the eventful race at the 4.309-kilometer Autodromo José Carlos Pace in Brazil, starting from the back of the grid. A sensational success stemming from the particular track conditions, which the Dutchman fully exploited. It was a triumph after 5 months during which the 3-time Formula One world champion watched other drivers stand on the top step of the podium. Reaching the final part of the championship, a triple-header set to take place between Las Vegas, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi, Ferrari is still in the hunt for the World Constructors' Championship. The duty to believe is evident, as the 36-point gap currently separating the prancing horse from the British team allows the Maranello team to nurture this World Championship dream. However, to close this gap, they must not make any mistakes starting with the upcoming Las Vegas Grand Prix. This is clear. In this regard, there is a factor that concerns Charles Leclerc and the entire team. The Monegasque himself mentioned it last week, unprompted. We refer to the state of the homologated power units on car number 16. Suffering a penalty right now would be highly detrimental to their charge toward the title. Ferrari and Charles Leclerc are therefore studying the work plan for the final part of the 2024 Formula One World Championship. Every F1 team manages the rotation of power units throughout a season. There is a specific program to make the most of all components without overstressing them. Ferrari, with the Monegasque driver, homologated the last of the 4 power units allowed by the International Federation before incurring a penalty at the Dutch Grand Prix. Since then, Charles Leclerc's car has raced 6 Grands Prix. Within this context, it is worth recalling a fact. A team can homologate components, but is obviously free to reuse older ones. This is part of the aforementioned rotation. Charles Leclerc certainly has not used the power unit introduced at the Zandvoort circuit for 6 races in a row. However, a quick calculation of the 4 power units makes it evident that all of the Monegasque's engine components are quite aged. Moreover, doubts remain about the power unit that acted up during the Canadian Grand Prix. The problem stemmed from the hybrid component, about which the Italian team, as is often the case, has not released any information. Therefore, its condition is unknown. On the other hand, Carlos Sainz can smile. His crash in the qualifying session for the Brazilian Grand Prix allowed for the homologation of a 5th internal combustion engine component. On car number 55, the transmission and other components were also replaced. Max Verstappen paid the penalty in the São Paulo Grand Prix at the Interlagos circuit for his engine change, but despite starting from 17th position, he ultimately won. A spot-on decision then. For Charles Leclerc, however, things could go differently if a penalty were to be imposed. Without a doubt, the 6.2-kilometer Las Vegas Strip circuit in Nevada is a track where overtaking is facilitated by the layout. Thus, if Ferrari knows that it does in fact need to homologate another power unit for Charles Leclerc's car before the end of the 2024 Formula One season, the American circuit would be suitable. However, even though overtaking maneuvers are easier on the United States circuit, under normal conditions, starting from the back does not guarantee the same chances of victory. This is the dilemma the historic Maranello team must face with 1 week until the next round of the championship. There is also another important aspect to take into consideration. On a track where the power unit's effectiveness makes a difference, having a fresh engine provides a performance boost, a condition that Carlos Sainz can now fully exploit, unlike his Maranello teammate. Assuming that a new power unit will indeed need to be homologated on Charles Leclerc's car, the situation becomes tricky. Ferrari could compete in the Las Vegas Grand Prix by fitting the best remaining components on car number 16. Doing so would mean giving their all and trying to take the race victory on a track considered favorable based on the layout and the characteristics of the SF24 single-seater. On the other hand, taking a penalty at the American circuit would be easier to manage compared to Qatar or Abu Dhabi. The Italian side is therefore weighing this decision, bearing in mind that risking competing with components on the car that could fail is undoubtedly a scenario that needs to be avoided at all costs. A retirement would logically put an end to the dream of winning the World Constructors' Championship this season. Recovering 36 points on McLaren is already a significant challenge with just 3 races remaining until the end of the year. The 2 MCL 38 cars of Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri are flying, and Red Bull is also pushing. Imagine adding to this scenario one of the 2 Ferrari SF24 cars unable to score points over a weekend. The picture forming is not favorable for the Maranello team. Losing the chance to fight until the final corner in Abu Dhabi would be devastating in a season already filled with regrets for the technical errors made under the direction of Italian aerodynamicist and former Ferrari technical director Enrico Cardile. Looking ahead to the upcoming round of the season, there is another key factor to take into consideration for the Maranello team. Charles Leclerc believes Ferrari will have a shot at winning next weekend's F1 Las Vegas Grand Prix, but warned their improved tire management might be a disadvantage this year. The Monegasque driver stormed to pole position in Las Vegas last year, but could only finish second on race day, as he was beaten by Max Verstappen. In 2023, Ferrari thrived in qualifying throughout the campaign, although they struggled more on race day. 12 months later, it's the complete opposite with their best pace coming on a Sunday. Focusing on the Las Vegas Grand Prix, Charles Leclerc feels Ferrari's improved tire wear might mean they struggle to fire up the tires in qualifying. With the Las Vegas event taking place under the lights, temperatures could reach under 10 degrees. Speaking to Sky Sports News, Charles Leclerc expressed that he believed the track should suit their performance well on paper. The Monegasque driver noted, however, that their significant improvement in tire management could pose a challenge on such a cold circuit, making it difficult to get the tires into the optimal operating window. While he acknowledged the outlook appeared positive overall, he admitted it might not be as favorable as the previous year. Despite this, he conveyed confidence that, given the closeness of the competition, they would have a chance to contend for victory. Carlos Sainz, who had qualified alongside Charles Leclerc on the front row of the grid last year in Las Vegas, had to take an engine penalty after a manhole cover caused significant damage to his Ferrari SF23. Reflecting on last year's events, the Spanish driver remarked that Las Vegas owed them one. The future Williams driver expressed hope that the circuit would bring them better fortune this time, noting that he believed they could have won the race last year. Carlos Sainz pointed out that his penalty, which he felt was unfair and due to factors beyond their control, likely cost them second place in the Constructors' Championship. The Spaniard remained optimistic, suggesting that Las Vegas might have something positive in store for them this year.